Maginer Shabbos Parshas Vayeitzei. Vayeitzei Yaakov midir Shalayechanana. Yaakov's on the move. He's on the move. And he has this whole tumult with Lavan. When he shows up at Lavan's house, the pasuk says, right, he meets Rachel at the well, he hugs her, he cries, there's like a whole crazy thing over there. He gives her a kiss. Yaakov is the king of kisses. It's interesting. If you want to know what the amkus of a Nashika is, you learn that from Yaakov. Then he shows up at Lavan's house. Now, last time we had Eliezer showing up at Lavan's house. He comes running outside, right? So this time too, Lavan comes running outside. But the pasuk here says something different. The pasuk here tells us that when Lavan heard Yaakov's name, he came running out. And I was trying to figure out, like, why is this pasuk telling us that what made Lavan excited was the name? What was it about Yaakov's name that got Lavan pumped? Okay, so I have two thoughts. Let's see if I can remember them. Number one, Yaakov is a lashon of Ekev, the heel. It's the bottom of the body. It's trodden on, which is also very symbolic of Klal Yisrael. That's kind of our place in the world. But when Lavan heard that there was an Ekev in town, that Yaakov was here, he said, this is someone I could take advantage of. Yaakov. And he was pumped about that. I'm going to squeeze every dime and nickel out of him. Okay, we know that Yaakov didn't show up with any money because Eliphaz took it all. But Lavan Taka took huge advantage of Yaakov, right? The second teretz is very similar. It's that, why was he so excited to hear Yaakov's name? Why did Yaakov get the name Yaakov? Because he had that whole back and forth with Esav coming out of the womb of who should be first, who should be the Bachar. And Yaakov was grabbing onto Esav's ankle. Lavan heard that. Again, he's like, I can take advantage of this. How? I'll tell you how. I say, I want to get 7 years of work out of him, right? I could get 14 if I mach a shtick with Rachel and Leah. Now his whole taina to Yaakov, Yaakov's like, what are you doing? I worked for Rachel. What are you giving me Leah for? He says, we don't know this is to give the tzira of Nehemachira. So there's a certain kabima. The oldest comes before the youngest. And he knew that he could mach shtick with Yaakov. And the whole machlokes between Lavan and Yaakov is very deep. It wasn't just, a simple, hey, working on 7 years, working on 7 years, give you the wrong wife. There was depth and chachma. There was a reason why Lavan was considered an Arami. But when he heard that there was a Yaakov, his name was Yaakov, and there was hak about who's the Bechor, he bought it from Esav. He's like, now I can mach shtick. And by giving him the older, my Bechoros, my older daughter, for instead of the younger one, because maybe Yaakov, even though since he was holding on to Esav's ankle, maybe he has a din of being the Bechor. He took advantage of that. I heard a story, Melech Biederman says a story like this. There was a Yid from Eretz Yisrael that was collecting in America. And he was making a wedding. He had a certain amount of money he needed to pull together. And he had a guy in America who was going to drive him around. It was a relative, a friend. The kitzer, he wakes up early in the first morning, his rear went to go. This is my chance. And he has to take advantage of every minute he has in America, because just the ticket, you have to borrow money to fly into America, and you have to make that back. And he wakes up, he davens early. And after shul, there's no one picking him up. What's he supposed to do? So he calls up his friend, and he hears his friend on the phone. Nothing. Voicemail. Calls again, no answer. Calls again, no answer. He's like, what am I supposed to do? He has no idea where to go. This guy knew the destinations, he knew which house, which neighborhoods. What do? I'll go to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So he went back to shul, and he sat down with his telem. He's sitting there davening. And after this later minyan that he's learning through, a Yid walks over to him and he says, see, saying, tell him, do me a favor, say tell him for me. He says, what's the matter? You okay? You sick? What's it? He says, no, I have a very, very big court case this today, and it's like make it or break it, millions of dollars on the line. I hired a top-notch lawyer, but I'm saying, I'm their buddy. Do me a favor. You seem to be tight with Hashem. Send in a good word. I said, sure, no problem. In fact, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right here the whole day. Here's my phone number. Let me know what happens. Okay. This guy, the businessman, heads out into court. It was a huge case, and he was getting sued for like every penny that he owned. The entire business was going to tank if he didn't make this claim, this plea. He shows up in court, and his lawyer is a no-show. He paid a fortune for this guy. The guy didn't show up. And he's sitting there in court sweating buckets. And when it's your slot, it's your slot. And he sits down at the defense table, and the judge looks at him and he says, what's your plea? There's no one there with him, so he gets up and he says, all right, this is what I got. I'm innocent. And he explains his case, he explains his side. And the prosecutor says his piece. The judge looks around and he says, you know what? I'm remarkably impressed that you wish to show up here without no lawyer. You yourself defending your own case. He says the fact that you were able to defend yourself shows that you are confident and you believe in that you're innocent. Case dismissed. Whoa. Whoa. Guy walks out of court like cloud nine. He calls up his lawyer. Says, Mapitom, what happened? Where were you? The lawyer says, Mechila, I'm so sorry. I have to tell you, I've been in this job for years, for decades. Never have I ever overslept like this. I'm sorry. He says, you know what? You don't have to be sorry. I'm not paying you a penny. You didn't show up. And I won the case anyways. The guy said, oh, I'm glad I worked out well. He pulls out a number from his pocket and this Yid saying, tell him from in shul. He said, wow, it's amazing. He's like, you know what, I'm not going to call him. I'm going to go see him in shul. He drives straight to the shul. And he shows up and this Yid is still sitting there saying, tell him. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. He walks over to the Yid and says, I can't tell you what just happened. It's amazing. And he writes him out a check. He says, you have no idea, I just saved millions of dollars and I'm sure that I had something to do with your tefillas. And he promised the whole trip was done because of this one check. In the meantime, you get this Yid who's sitting and saying till him gets a call from his friend, from his cousin, and he was supposed to take him around that day. He says, I'm so sorry. You have no idea. This hasn't happened to me in decades. For some reason today I overslept. The same words that the lawyer used. And he says, you know what? It's Min HaShemayim. The Parshas orchestrated for two people who don't oversleep to oversleep. Because it has nothing to do with them. Is he supposed to make a certain amount of money collecting? He'll make it. And if this guy is supposed to win a score case, he's going to win. Lawyer or no lawyer. But their Baruch Shalom, all we need to do is call out to Hashem. The Baruch Shalom is going to answer us. We will be Zeich to have that connection with Hashem, to feel comfortable talking to Him and join together with everyone else at the BS God Tzaddik B'Her B'Neinu. Amen.